welcome back to my channel. So in today's video is going to be something a little bit different today. I am doing a audio type video today, and what I wanted to talk about was my art college experience and also how I applied to art college. So you guys who are wanting to get into art school understand the whole process and plus understand my testimony. And so here we go. If you guys are new to the channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys to click the bell for notifications. And I want to tell you guys my story. So here we go. So it all began during junior high school, and that's when I found out about the art school that I was going to. And the art school that I attended was Savannah College of Art and Design, which is abbreviated as SCAD. So with SCAD, they have 4 campuses. They have Atlanta, Savannah, Lacoste, and Hong Kong. And my family told me about the school, but I also heard it more so from, or partially so, I'll say partially so, not more so, with representatives that came from the school talking about the whole campus life and classes and things like that. So that's how I found out about SCAD. And what I did during my junior year of high school was apply for this summer program called Rising Star. And what Rising Star is, it's a 5-week program. You can do 1 to 2 classes, and then you get college credits after you get finished with the program. So I went to Savannah and I stayed there for 5 weeks, and it was a pretty good experience, you know, just getting a feel of understanding living with roommates and being around the campus and doing certain things, you know, such as doing different projects and meeting professors and doing different fun activity type events, and just seeing what the dining halls are like, you know, because different dining halls have different food. And the campus I went to was Savannah, especially for the pre-college program. So within the Savannah campus, I'll give you guys the list of residence halls. So one of them was Turner House, another one's Boundary Village, then Bernard Village, and then it's the Hive buildings, the Hive resident halls, and then you got O House, and just to name a few. I'm not going to name a lot off the list, but during both my Rising Star time and during my first year at SCAD, I lived in Turner House. So living in Turner House, you live with 3 people, and this is basically regular college. And then during Rising Star, pretty much I lived with another roommate. So within those 5 weeks, I really learned a bit of the feel of what their college life is like. And then fast forward to senior year, that's when I applied for SCAD and everything like that. And with applying to SCAD, you do a portfolio where you do like 8 to 12 pieces you submit. Then you do a whole essay as to why you want to get into SCAD. Then you submit a resume and a letter of recommendation and things like that. And then people from admissions decide whether or not you get accepted or not. And so for me, I got accepted. So I attended SCAD from fall of 2015 through summer of 2019. So I wanted to cover a bit of my first and second year. So with my first year, I was pretty excited to step into SCAD. I was like, wow, like I'm actually a college student now. And I looked at a bit of the programs. I looked at a bit of the clubs. You know, I looked at certain clubs such as the Animation Club, the Fashion Sketch Club, the Black Student Association Club, and other different forms of clubs. I forgot the other clubs, but there's a list. I'm sure it's available on their website, SCAD's website, which is scad.edu. And I was checking out different, you know, clubs and minors and majors and stuff like that. So during your first year, you pretty much figure out what your major is, you know, or what you want your major to be. Some people, they go undecided for quite a while, like up to their second year or a little bit longer, you know. And some people, they'll say, hey, my major is, for example, illustration, and then by the third year they switch to graphic design. And that happens with certain students, and they stay longer, but then again, that's more money. But for me, during the first year, so the first quarter you do FYE, which is first year experience, so it's for freshmen. You choose a major and a minor. So what I chose was illustration, and then a minor, which was printmaking. So during the whole first year, it was pretty good. It was really mainly foundational courses. So you do drawing 1, drawing 2, you do 3D design, you do life drawing, and just name a few courses for the foundation courses. But I know the first year you actually do those type of courses before you jump into your major courses. I really didn't get into the feel of my major courses until I would say really my sophomore year. I kind of did get into 1 or 2 major courses during my spring quarter of the freshman year, but I really didn't get into my major until my second year. So the first year was basically, as I said before, just doing courses to get you set within your major and getting to know the whole campus and going to different buildings. So getting to know the bus routes, getting to know your professors, and a whole list of things. So fast forward to the things I've done in terms of collaboration. So I've helped with certain people's animations, certain seniors' animations. I can name 2. One of them is Larix the Mime, and then there was another animation. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll probably name it in the description below. And I helped with 2 seniors on their projects. Then I helped with another project, which was from a graduate at the time that I was a freshman. He was doing a jewelry line, and I did the nails for his jewelry line. So that was a really good collaboration there, because I also did nail art too, and I do nail art as well. And so I did a little bit of collaborative work during my first year as well, so getting experience of that, of collaborating with people. Yeah, so I wanted to touch on the clubs that I joined, and one of those clubs was Scat Sketch Club, and that was a club that I really, really enjoyed. So that's my whole experience with the first year. Now the second year, this is where, I started really getting into my major. I started taking my first printmaking class, and it was, and I thought it was a pretty interesting experience, but I didn't feel like within the minor of printmaking that I was able to learn a whole in-depth lot of, I wasn't able to learn a whole lot in terms of printmaking, especially on clothing and things like that, because that's my focus also that I wanted to do, was not only just do illustrations, but also apply my artwork and put it on clothing. And so within my first class, I know it was kind of like a foundations type of course where they show you how to work with certain printmaking machines and doing certain prints and drawing on things and different types of paper for printmaking. It was an interesting experience, but I think I wasn't very interested in it. So I switched my minor, because printmaking was my minor. I kept my major, which was illustration. And so I changed it to fibers. So what fibers entails is basically with color dyeing, working with different fabric like cotton, linen, rayon. You do crocheting, you do felting, you do a whole different array of things. You learn different types of techniques, especially on this machine called a frame loom. And they have a building called Pepe Hall, which is in Savannah. And it's mainly for people who want to get into fibers, minors, majors. So they have a tool where you can make your own fabric type designs and things like that. So that minor really interested me the most, because it was something that I could really, really put on the clothing. And with that minor, it really got me into being hands-on, or got me straight into being hands-on kind of, during that second year. So it was a pretty interesting experience. I still continued with my major courses. During my first year, my favorite course I would say was 3D design and drawing, because both of those classes really taught me proportions and taught me how to do something out of a 3D structure, not just in 2D, because I've always done works, and I still do artworks in 2D form. But I kind of understand more about making certain things three-dimensional. Now, with my second year, my favorite courses are my fiber courses. I'll probably name those in the description below, possibly. The thing with my fiber courses, I really didn't get into my fiber courses until I would say my winter or spring quarter of my second year, because I was dealing with a lot of these subject courses that I didn't like, which was mathematics and CMPA. But the second year was pretty good. During the second year also, I was going through a little bit of things mentally wise. I was going through a bit of food anxiety during that time as well. And it was just, and it started pretty much the summertime before I got into my second year, where the food anxiety kicked in. And it just took me to not a good place at the time. But within the next year, by the time I would say winter of my sophomore year, or like my spring quarter, I overcame it. Because I was in not a good place for a short period of time, but luckily I was able to overcome it on my own. So that's what I went through at the time. And and during that time in college, people go through certain things, and like mental things and physical things, you know what I mean? And it's not so much because sometimes the work ethic, or not the work ethic, but more so the work that professors put on to students, but also it can be personal things or internal things. Just understand that you're not alone when you go through certain mental mishaps, or and it's a battle within yourself. And if you need help, don't hesitate to get help, especially if you're going through something mentally, you know what I mean? And that's the whole thing with that. But that's what I kind of touch on in terms of my second year. But like I said, I overcame it. This is basically the brighter aspect of things. So I overcame it, and yeah. So but sophomore year was interesting. It was very interesting. Like I said, from the professors to some of the classes. But I really enjoyed my illustration classes, because it got into, my favorite was digital drawing. I really love digital drawing. My professor in digital drawing was so cool, like hands down, he was really cool. And also my second year, I did a bit of collaboration stuff, but not as much, because I was focusing a lot more on my classes and things like that. On to my third year. So my third year, this is when things got better, but then it was another type of mishap that I was going through, and that was insomnia. And so this pretty much happened the majority of my junior year, where I pretty much got 1 to 3 hours of sleep per night, or no sleep at all. There'll be certain times where I'll get a full week of just my body catching up on sleep. So I would do like 7+ hours of sleep. And then it just gets back into the same routine of doing 1 to 3 hours of sleep or no sleep at all. So during my junior year, I looked at a lot of remedies and stuff. And plus, it was trial and error. I relied on like sleep aids for a small period of time, just because insomnia was kicking in during that time, or actually a little bit before that time of my junior year of being at SCAD. And this one I was living in Turner House again. My second year I was living in Turner Annex, which is now taken down. And my first year I was living in Turner House. So junior year I was back in Turner House at the time, and and I had a lot of sleeping issues. And the weirdest thing is that even when I don't get enough sleep, or no sleep at all, eventually I start feeling energized. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, a lot of people say, oh, like a lot of people say that their body is so tired when they don't get any sleep, but for me, it's kind of a bit different, which is kind of weird, but I do get that feeling where my body feels tired and things like that. So as I said before, I relied on sleep aids, but then again, I started looking at natural remedies. So I tried melatonin, melatonin drops, melatonin gummies. And then eventually I did this remedy called, I was drinking this chamomile lavender tea, and that helped me get my sleeping rhythm back on track. So, but yeah, I went through insomnia during that period of time, but I still managed to really do well in my classes. So during my junior year, I pretty much focused a lot more, not only my illustration courses, but got more in depth into my fiber courses. So my favorite courses was definitely hands down the fibers courses, which was the color dyeing class and the design class for fibers. So with the design class for fibers, you learn felting, you learn crocheting, you learn knotting, you learn the frame loom. So those classes to me were very, very fun and really hands-on. You know what I mean? So I was really happy that I was really able to learn those type of techniques or different styles of creating art in a 3D way. You know what I mean? And also too, the thing with my junior year, I started doing a bit of therapy as well. Since I was going through insomnia at that time, I was doing therapy like every other week. So I did like SCAD counseling, and also I was going to certain fitness classes. So there's a aspect of SCAD called SCAD Fit, so where you can apply for classes and register for classes, and you attend whatever time you want to attend. And so I did these Pilates classes with my friend, and one of my friends I met during like my sophomore year, and we clicked during like the junior and senior year, and we was doing Pilates together. So here and there I did Pilates classes during that time. But also too, I got more into going into this club that was in Savannah called Club One. So I went and collaborated with a drag queen, and I went to the shows and things like that, and showed them my artwork, and meeting different. That's when I started meeting different drag queens, especially from RuPaul's Drag Race, and one of them was Jane Dior Fierce. And at one point, I did a collaboration with her and did design some gloves for her. And during the junior year, I was also more into getting into this club called BSA. So what BSA is Black Student Association. So I got into having a lot of interest in that, and I went to the club meetings every Sunday. Every now and then I went to sketch club, and that was still pretty fun too. So that's pretty much all the clubs I pretty much went to. Just mainly, I think those two clubs. And then now we're heading towards my senior year. So my senior year is pretty much the endings of the whole, experience of SCAD. Oh yeah, and by the way, with junior year, I did do another collaboration project with somebody, a senior. She was a photographer, and she was doing a photo shoot. And I did nails for her photo shoot. And those photos are in my Instagram page. Instagram is Asiatic Bird, by the way. So follow me on Asiatic Bird on Instagram. That's where you'll see my collaboration photos with different students at SCAD. And also, I have a website called asiaticbird.wixsite.com/my site. So go visit my illustrations as well as my collaborative projects I've done. And I want to talk about a bit of my senior year. So senior year, it was also pretty good. This is when I started getting a job. So I started getting not my own first job, but I started getting my first job. So I started working at a spa, and one of the spas was in Broughton Street, and it was in Savannah, of course, and it was called Sweetwater Spa. And I'm very thankful for that spa at the time, because, you know, it gave me experience, not just doing nail art, but more so working with clients, different people, you know, especially doing their hands and feet. And so I was really able to get to know different people and different personalities, and plus being able a little bit to get myself out there. So, you know, just letting certain people get to know me and things like that, and, you know, show my artwork and what I can do and things like that. So with being at the spot, it was a really rewarding experience. I wish I was there longer if I had knew Sweetwater Spa had opened in a certain aspect of town in Savannah, because they were down in Abercorn Street at first, but then they, like September of 2019, they were in Savannah, particularly in Broughton Street. They were still in Savannah, but they were in Abercorn at first, but they moved to Broughton Street. And I will always go there. Broughton Street is pretty good. You know, they have a lot of restaurants and stores. And so I didn't apply to that spa until like January, essentially. I didn't apply to that spa until like January. But it was, like I said, it was a very good 7-month type experience that I've had. I did a little bit of collaborations during that time too, during my senior year, and those were fun. But also, to end things off, I also met 2 other drag queens during my last year, which was Raja. Raja is the one from season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and then I met Aja, which was from she was from All Stars 3, I think, and then I know she was in season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race. So I met those 2 drag queens, and pretty much I was a regular at Club 1, going to the drag shows and everything. Not every weekend, but just a couple weekends here and there. And also, I want to talk about another thing too, is that all 4 years of my time being at SCAD, I participated in the SCAD fashion show. And during my times being a volunteer or a dresser at the fashion show, the fashion shows got a lot better as the years went on. And so during my final year, spring quarter, they will be held every spring quarter, and Ms. J. Alexander, who is a judge of America's Next Top Model, would come down and teach the models how to walk for the runway show. And so before I really left that school, I designed Miss J a t-shirt, and I gave him a regular thank you card, just telling him thank you for how much he changed the game in terms of the modeling and fashion industry, you know what I mean? And a lot of SCAD students, you know, or not really SCAD students, but not a lot of people give credit where it's due, you know. So just before I actually had my SCAD experience come to a close, I wanted to give him something that he can always have, you know. So I designed him a shirt personally, and I gave him, like I said, a card. And so, you know, it was something to, you know, say thank you for, you know. And especially, I got to thank the people that allowed me to be dressers for the shows every year. And it was a great experience just being backstage, not only with the models, but also seeing every outfit for the show. Like, you get first dibs of seeing every outfit. You know, you're already seeing the show before the runway show, you know. And with the whole experience, you know, with that whole last year, I think it was a very good experience. And then, of course, I had the commencement ceremony that I went to, and I got my degree. You know, I didn't really get my degree until the end of the summer. So, but walking at the commencement during spring quarter, it was pretty fun. I seen some of my friends, and, you know, it was really fun in the end, you know. And I did also do career fair, my senior year, because I never experienced what career fair was like. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just go into the career fair and just see what it's like, just seeing different companies and what they do. And so that was another good experience too. But overall, my whole senior year was pretty good. Despite, the roommates that I went through and things like that. And for the most part, a lot of the roommates that I had, unfortunately, didn't work out very much. But it was all an experience, just understanding living with different people and understanding different personalities and what works and what doesn't work and things like that. And for me personally, I like being by myself. I like living by myself. That's what works for me, because I'm so used to having my own space. So, but when you have other people, it can get into a bit of a conflict at certain times, depending on the situation. So, and along the journey of being at SCAD, I did have some very good friends, or very good people that I've considered my friend, you know what I mean? And I wish all of them the best of luck in their endeavors, you know what I mean? So, but the whole 4 years, it is something that I miss at times, and it was really fun, If I had a chance to come back and do a master's degree, who knows, I might. I may not, but that whole experience, being at SCAD in general, they teach you so much about not only in the classes of what you want to do and understand how to collab with people, how your certain industry works depending on your major is. So say if you want to get into film, they'll teach you a lot about film and the film industry and meeting different people. And plus every year it would be the Scat Film Festival, you know what I mean? And that'd be during every fall, you know what I mean? So they really teach you about the industry, and when you leave too, you get benefits. Since you're SCAD alumni, you can still go to their events. You can still go to career day or other events they may have. You can get like a new ID since you're SCAD alumni, and a lot of other things. So you would still have some sort of access to certain things to a certain extent, but not fully. So, I really like how they incorporate those type of benefits, and you still keep in touch with certain people in terms of like your career advisors, your student success advisors, and things like that. So SCAD was one of the best experiences I've ever had, you know what I mean? And I think with each year, I've really grown a lot from the whole experience being at SCAD. I've grown a lot, most definitely. So that's my testimony. So yeah, as I said before, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell for notifications, and until the next video, take care.